We got gold and silver surging higher. We got National Guards troops being scattered throughout the states, and we got a government shutdown. Clearly, there's something going on, and I think we got to talk about this. All right, so I want to take a minute, share some thoughts in reference to recent activity. Gold and silver is going up. We got National Guards, we got government shutdown, lots of things happening right now. And clearly, when it comes to that end game coming to a halt type of narrative, yeah, a lot of things are brewing. And so I just want to go through a couple headlines here, share my thoughts, as well as highlight some things worth paying attention to because clearly more people are running away from fiat as gold and silver continues to climb higher. And majority of people are still unaware as to what's really happening. So I want to dive into a lot of pages, share my 2 cents on some things and move forward. But first, let's just jump right into current activity with the metals. So let's waste no time. So as of right now, 48.90 and then $4,036 in climbing. And we've yet to have market open over here in the Western Hemisphere, but it's good to say there'll be a slam down, but then there'll be a resurgence. So we are witnessing activity that I've never noticed in my life, and where you have gold and silver both responding the same way, reaching, surpassing highs, all that good stuff like that. Definitely cause for concern because ultimately, when it boils down to it, what we're witnessing is the, as I call it, the de-fiatization, where we have nation states that have led the charge into gold in particular. Now the retail sector is catching on, and there's a shuffling of capital on the back end of thing, which will definitely cause the bankers and the powers that be to be concerned. So they're going to literally try to find ways to shift the narrative, distract the masses, or all and above. So this is a major reason why this shift is happening. So literally, we're witnessing, as we see on the screen here, the shift downward towards something true, tried and tested, and away from U.S. as well as other nation state liabilities. And so the very peak of the extra pyramid, we got derivatives. And of course, that is the could be the pin that blows up everything because the derivatives market is well beyond that quadrillion. It's closer to 4 or 5 by now. Nobody really knows because it's off balance sheet, under the table bank balance sheet type of activity. Then you got private business and real estate. We all know where those things stand right now. Depending on where you're located at, real estate is healthier. In some spots, it's not. And then private equity is definitely experiencing a lot of problems, hence the idea of the executive order with the introduction of private equity products that can be put into people's 401k along with crypto and everything else. And then you have corporate. We know there's a lot of zombie companies. We know that the cities and states are saturated with debt. And then you got government bonds. Right now, who wants to hold government liabilities? Clearly, China and Russia are dialing down. So literally, they're all dumping. And then you got bank credit. And so literally, there's lots of cash parked in money market funds, which will eventually start moving at some point because you're not making nowhere near as much having it sit there rather than having it working for you, whether it be in gold and silver protection sake or in the crypto space or in whatever other opportunities that might come about. And then that leaves us with base money. And at the very peak of this, which is not seen, if you were to put a little peak at the bottom of this, it'd be silver. And so clearly gold and silver will be the last thing standing because they are true monetary mediums that the world needs. And so that is something worth keeping an eye on. So I want to go to a couple other headlines here. Just some things I grabbed off of Twitter that just make sense at this current moment. So here we have Lobo Tigre, who's a commentator, does a lot of interviews and stuff like that, has a following of about 41,000 people on his X account. And he says, if you had told me 13 years ago that an ounce of this stuff would sell for $4,000, I'd have said the three'd be riots in the streets, National Guard deploying in big U.S. cities, maybe war in the Middle East or somewhere, higher inflation, economic uncertainty. Oh, wait. So literally, all those things that he just referenced are exactly what we're experiencing right now, and in relative terms, things are quite calm because all of this activity I'm talking about here is happening where the majority of the people are not paying attention to what's happening. They don't really know what's happening. So literally, wait till the masses find out. Wait till the average Joe and Jane that's just going about life doing what they normally do find out that their fiat currency is literally being destroyed in real time. When the dollar itself, aka the Federal Reserve note, becomes your greatest liability, which it already is, and it's common knowledge, that's when we're going to see activity in the streets, as well as the continuation of gold and silver going to places that, once again, we couldn't imagine. And of course, Bitcoin on the back end of this is where the Western Hemisphere, i.e., the government and the SEC and the CFTC and all the government agencies, would love to have it surge, but they're not ready for that yet because it too will go up. And so here we are now, just trying to navigate what's happening in real time. And so here's something that I want to definitely bring to your attention. It says Trump's threat to invoke Insurrection Act escalates showdown with Democrat cities. And so literally we got a government shutdown now, but for some reason, this administration thinks it's great timing to deploy people into the streets and invoke the Insurrection Act at a time of uncertainty of already. So literally, could this be like basically pre-installing or just dispersing of uh, manpower, i.e., the National Guard, into certain cities where there's a greater chance of there being upheaval if and when something does break, or just to have a presence in these cities to disguise as keeping the calm, keeping things nice and safe and calm in these cities that are being overrun by terrorist groups or whatever it is this administration wants to talk about. But clearly, with all this going on, this is not coincidental. This is intentional. And so real quick, here it says, Democrat leaders oppose Trump's military deployment in cities. It says legal battles ensue over the National Guard deployment in Chicago and Portland. As of now, National Guard deployment raises concerns over militarization of cities. Illinois governor accuses Trump of using troops as political tool. It says federal judge temporarily blocks Guard deployment to Portland. And so, as of right now, 2 cities is the primary topic, but clearly there will be more. And so I believe this is more so about having assets, aka manpower, in positions in case things go wrong, and they need them there faster than normally, because it'd be hard if something breaks in the system and you have people acting a fool. And then we have I saw something a moment ago where it said that the government's using the tariff revenue to help make the SNAP payments and things like that, because we're in day 8 of a government shutdown. And right, how long can you go where before people, are not getting their typical government, uh, necessities met, and they start to feel the pinch even more. Therefore, you have people on the streets wanting to cause a muck just because, hey, why not? What better time to do it when you're not getting what you used to getting from the government because they're shut down, and you still got to put food on the table and put, things, take care of your family and your responsibility. So just things worth paying attention to. But it doesn't stop there. Let me give you some more. These are what I consider to be end time scenarios that can't be ignored. And so here's just a little video that someone put out there. It says, the more I see about the National Guard in Portland, the clearer it is. This isn't about deterring crime or keeping anyone safe. It's about intimidation. The message, sit down, shut up, obey. Quote, you're not citizens with rights. You're our tax cattle. And so once again, this is from Jason Bowsler, internet outlaw, about 45,000 people following him. And so he's out here sharing his 2 cents in reference to this whole National Guard being deployed in the 2 cities thus far. And so my suspicion is that there will be more cities. At the same time, the government shut down. So really, like, where would the funding come from? Why would you overstretch states' budgets by having states, the Republican states, deploy National Guards to the democratically led states at this current moment, instead of just, saving, using your manpower for locally, just in case you might need it there. So once again, these are all things that's happening right now. But as of right now, because of gold and silver responding the way that it is towards this global reset that we're in the midst of, it wouldn't surprise me that this continues to surge higher, and then there end up being some type of banking event. You never know. And so what better way to really ramp things up in this reset other than the banks all of a sudden now to go out? There'd be some type of cyber event or something like that. You never know when you're dealing with a very criminal government that's pressed on keeping control and keeping the average Joe and Jane dumbed down and distracted. And so, yeah, these are just what's happening. Gold and silver is really exposing the transition. We got cities unraveling, the government shut down, and there's no telling where this is going to go. But definitely for sure, as of right now, we're not on course for peace and calmness in our country. And so curious to hear what you guys think. As always, if you found value, hit that thumbs up, drop a comment down below, take this, share so more people can find out what's going on. And then clearly, people, this is the end game, how it ends. It's not going to be pretty. Peace.